You're tuned in to the Keetria Show and listening to SOB, Style of Business, the podcast with your host, Keetria. We aim to highlight the ongoing trek of entrepreneurs and business owners from around the globe, featuring stories that recount their struggles, experiences, and inevitable road to success and self-fulfillment. Welcome to SOB.
This podcast is being brought to you by my inspiring new book titled Courage is a Muscle, Using Heart to Power Your Entrepreneurial Dreams. You can grab your copy today on Amazon.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Thanks so much for tuning in and checking out another hot episode of SOB, Style of Business, the podcast. This is your host, Keetria, and today we are here with another wonderful guest. I'm speaking with Dave Ruel. Hope I pronounced that correctly, Dave.
Yeah.
To your approval?
That was perfect French right there.
All right. Good. And hey, guys, Dave is a serial entrepreneur. He's also an international speaker. He is a former competitive physique athlete, and he is the author of a wonderful new book called Done by Noon, How to Achieve More by Noon Than Any Other Entrepreneurs in a Full Day. And I can't wait to dissect some of the things in this book because I need it like yesterday. So we're definitely excited to be talking to Dave about his new book and learning how we can really scale the productivity and to be a little bit more mindful when it comes to time management as entrepreneurs. And, you know, not only that, but in our personal lives as well. So without further ado, Dave, you are the man. How are you doing today? Go ahead and drop that intro. We appreciate you being a guest.
Oh, well, thank you for having me always. I love being on podcasts and I appreciate being on yours. So, no, it's great. You know, it's a great day today. It's sunny. I live in northeastern New Brunswick in Canada, and it's a great day. And right after this, I'm going to take my boat and go for a drive. There's a nice spot here where you can just actually very wild beach, but it's not like on an island.
Yeah.
And I just go there. It's maybe 20 minutes boat ride from my house, and I'm just going to hang out there. And I got one of my friends actually who's camping down the river, so I'm going to pick him up, and we're going to go there. So yeah, life is good, man.
Wow. I tell you what, it sounds good. And if I could, I would warn you ahead of time that if you see any Texas plates pulling across the border, the Canadian border, you know, kind of embarging on your campgrounds and trying to get a little bit of that freedom, it would be me, you know. So look, I'm excited to talk about, you know, what you have put into this book, because I think a lot of us, we don't really understand how much time we waste when it comes to just kind of building businesses and, you know, just really trying to scale. You know, a lot of us stay in the startup mode for years and years, and it really just kind of comes down to what we're really able to get done. So I want to talk about that. But before we jump into that, Dave, go ahead and give us a little bit of your background story for those of us who aren't familiar, because I know you have so much going on, and there's a lot of things that we're looking forward to learning. But let's start with just a brief background of how you got into entrepreneurship.
Yeah, you know, so as you said, you know, fitness was my initial passion, and that's what actually got me into business. I'll tell you that in a moment. But I started working out at like in my teen years, and quickly became pretty obsessed with it. I became an amateur bodybuilder, like a fitness coach. I ended up actually coaching national level athletes, and yeah, I at the time, so 14 years ago when I started my first business, when I started online, you know, having an online business was kind of not the norm, you know, like I didn't know anyone who had an online business or anything like that. But, and I didn't intend to have a business, but I was competing. Funny story. So that kind of the origin story of how I got in business. I was competing in St. John's, Newfoundland, and I stayed so I was not making money at the time. You know, I was kind of a typical broke fitness coach. And I posted on the forum, on the message board at the time, I posted saying like, hey, listen, I'm flying over. I'm traveling to St. John's for a show. Anyone wants to share a hotel room or like to split the cost to, you know, anyone who's from out of town. And and that guy named Lee Hayward actually was like, listen, I'm competing too. I got a couch in my basement. You can crash there. and we'll hang out. Like, perfect. So I land there immediately, and I didn't know what he was doing. I've known him from the local circuits because he was a pretty accomplished bodybuilder. It was like, okay, cool. Well, it's going to be nice to get to know him. But what I've learned from him is that he was actually running his business online for the past 10 years. And he was like, and we're talking now in 2007, right? So since 1997, he had his own bodybuilding website, and he was selling coaching, he was selling digital products, supplements, different things. I was like, and he was making 6 figures a year doing so. I was like,
oh wow, yeah.
Okay, well, I need to know how you are doing that.
Right.
And so I kind of traded my obsession for fitness with another obsession for online businesses, and I launched started my first business in 2007 part-time, went full-time in 2009, and with a business that was called the Muscle Cook. So the Muscle Cook we were providing nutritional solutions and meal plans and recipes for bodybuilders and people who want to build muscle or lose fat. So I launched that, and we had cookbooks, we had different things, and the business did really, really well. That was really the beginning of the online bit, of selling things online. I mean, it was just the beginning. So I started that, became kind of an OG in the Canadian fitness marketing space, and kind of made a name for myself there. From there, I had the opportunity to start a publishing company. So, coaches saw what I was doing, and they were like, well, how can I do the same thing? So we were pretty much taking them and building their own, online publishing infrastructure and websites and membership sites and products and everything. And we did that for a few years until I had the opportunity to invest in a supplements company called Bioptimizers. And we did a nice turnaround with that company, sold the company in 2016, my shares of the company in 2016. And from there, I was pretty much free as a bird. So I had the opportunity to start coaching entrepreneurs. And so I took back my old coaching skills and brought it to business this time. And when I started, and it was surprising for me because it's like the thing that is always there in front of you. It's normal for you, but it's not normal for most people.
Exactly.
It's that most entrepreneurs really, really struggle at not only just managing their time, but managing themselves as entrepreneurs. Mm. And I was lucky enough to make all the mistakes in the books early on in my career, in understanding that different things. And one of the things that I understood is that there's a lot of similarities between physical fitness and operating as an entrepreneur. Like how you operate as an athlete is very similar to how you should operate as an entrepreneur. And I pretty much created systems for myself after burning out and doing everything that I should not be doing. So I shared my these tools and these systems with my students, and they were like, okay, well, that's a game changer. They didn't need more tactics and strategy or things like that. What they needed was a way for them to really operate at their best potential. And so that became Ethic. That became a new company for me. And we standardized, as I said, the systems. The Ethic Planner was born. And from there, I guess the need for me to share the whole thing with everybody through a book called Done by Noon, and a book that we launched earlier this year. So we're doing that. And now the methodology obviously has become quite popular amongst the entrepreneurs. We're now actually certifying coaches on the methodology so they can share it now with their students, with their coaching clients. And we're gaining some steam internationally with the methodology, and it really resonates a lot with entrepreneurs just because we're making that parallel between sports performance and entrepreneurial performance. And it seems that obviously it's very relatable for most people.
Yeah, no, and I tell you what, one of the things that you just mentioned, like the being able to understand how the performance, it relates not only to what you were doing as a competitive athlete, but also as an entrepreneur. And I think a lot of us we don't understand that getting a lot of things done that doesn't actually mean that it's productive, right? It doesn't mean that you have been effective at doing the things that need to be done, because there's always stuff that you have to do, and even the things that you don't want to do. So when you talk about putting different systems in place, like I guess my question would be, like, how important is that? Because you got a lot of people that'll get up and they'll go through a routine, right? And they'll just keep doing the routine and not really realizing that it's not helping, and they're hoping for a breakthrough. But like, how effective is it to have a specific system in place?
Yeah, I think people rely too much on tactical stuff.
Right. Yeah.
You're going to hear that, oh, have this routine and have this and have that. And I'll be honest, like, yeah, it's, there's tactical stuff that works, but, collecting tactics will not make it a system. Just like a collection of exercises won't make a program, right? When you're into fitness, for example, so you have a goal, right? You want to, lose 10 pounds or build muscle, or, you have very specific things that you want to achieve. I mean, just collecting little tactics, little shortcuts won't make it a program. It needs to make sense. You need to understand that it needs to fit into a specific, order, into something that makes a lot of sense. So alignment is very important. It's understanding where you're going, understanding what you want to achieve, and what do I need to do in order to do that. So once you do that, you have to understand, okay, well, the next year I want to build 10 pounds of muscle, right? So now you're going to look at the next 90 days, and you can say, okay, well, this program will help me, maybe gain more strength. Okay, because the more stronger I am, the more I'm going to be able to lift weights, the more muscles I'm going to be able to build. So you're going to start that. And then you're going to move, and you're going to be focusing on the next 90 days. And you're going to make a plan that, hey, on Monday, I'm going to be training chest because it's International Chest Day, Monday.
Yeah, right. That'll work. Yeah, that'll work.
But, you have to make this type of plan. So I think it's understanding that, okay, well, there's a destination, there's something, I need to be clear on where I want to go. Let's set the goals accordingly. And the thing is that when you do that, when you set these goals and be very clear, now you can start building a system that it works for you. So that's the thing with the EFIC methodology. It's not like a cookie cutter system.
Exactly.
There's steps you need to follow, but you need to do what works for you and what is, with your own context, with your own unique context. And I think people forget that. We talk about in the book about ambition appropriation, meaning that too many people just look at other people and establish their success, their goals based on other people's ambitions.
Right.
That, I need to make $1 million. I need to do this. And I need to have the Lamborghini. And like, do you really care about it? Like, why? Why are you doing that? And it's asking the right questions. So we always start the methodology by establishing a clear picture. We call that the big picture. It's establishing a crystal clear picture of what do you want your life to look like? If you're on the top of the mountain, what does that look like?
Right. And
believe it or not, most of the motivational factors that people have are not related to money. They're just related. Money is a means to an end. It's like the fuel that will get you there. But it's like health, relationships, happiness, things that make you happy. So it changes the way you see things. And then from there, it's like, okay, well, I've been doing it wrong because I thought that in order to be successful, I had to do this and I need to do that. And that does not work because I was getting advice from a single guy in his 40s and I'm a mom in her 30s and I have 2 young kids, and that's just not, the 7-step morning routine just doesn't work for me.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's true. And I think a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves to just perform under standards that are not theirs.
Wow.
And that's really what it is. Done by Noon, it's a leadership book disguised as a productivity book, because when you think about Done by Noon, the thing that attracts you with Done by Noon it's going to appeal to something that you don't have right now because you're busy. You have too much to do.
Right.
You're overwhelmed. Like that would be so nice to be done by noon.
Right, exactly.
How can I do that? And you know what? Breaking news, when you read the book, I show you actually how you can be done by noon, but that doesn't mean that you need to be done by noon.
Right.
The book is actually to teach you how to prioritize what's really important. And it's understanding why, like the art of working right. And the way you work right is aligned with what you want to do, aligned with your strengths, obviously, and also, leveraging different systems, things like that, obviously. But it's not about working less. It's really about working right, working properly. And this is the thing, like you're going to bench press with bad form. Well, guess what? Like the stronger you get, you will get stronger. But you will get injured in the process later down the road because with bad form and heavy weights, you're not going to be able to sustain that. It's the same thing with business. Like if you work with a bad form, if you work with a bad system that's not based on your own context, and you're going to keep building some, the workload is going to keep building. Well, guess what? You're going to crumble under pressure and you will burn out. So the book is really about self-leadership. It's really about understanding, you as an entrepreneur, you in your own context, putting things into perspective and understanding what you should put in place for you in order to do that. We obviously give, tips and strategies and tactics, but that doesn't mean that you're going to need to apply everything or everything to a T for it to work. And if you don't implement one thing, it's not going to work. Right. You know what? You need to apply it for you.
Exactly. No, and I love the fact that this is customized for the reader or the person who is actually taking in the information. Like you said, there's no one size fits all. There's no cookie cutter approach. And you know what? I'm interested to get your thoughts on the whole entrepreneurial culture when it comes to like the hustle mentality. You know what I mean? It's like, go as hard as you can for as long as you can in order to reach XYZ goal. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
It's the exact same thing. It's ambition appropriation. Like who decides what is good for someone?
Right.
Like only you can decide that. I mean, it's the modern entrepreneurial culture is extremely toxic. I think now we're opening the discussion now about mental health, about happiness, about, true fulfillment, fulfillment through work. And I think things are changing now, but the culture is still toxic, has been very toxic for years. I think as weird as it is, the pandemic really opened up a lot of eyes on things that were not working in the workplace.
Yeah.
So how you were working as entrepreneurs, like, because there were things you couldn't do anymore. There were things that, took more time, or that, it changed. It changed the way how people, saw work. And people started understanding that, I can work from home and be even more productive. I can work. There's many countries who implemented the 4-day work week. We're talking Iceland, New Zealand, smaller countries, but they did that. And what they're seeing, people are happier. And people are more productive because guess what? They are organizing themselves. They're like, I have less time, but the goals are still the same,
right.
But I have less time. So now I need to organize. Now I need to prioritize properly, So it works. And when you give people control over your schedule, it's not going to be perfect at first,
right.
But they will get better. They will start to make their own systems for themselves that works. And this is how you're going to have happier, better retention as an employer, or, so many things, right? And as entrepreneurs, the same. You have to understand that. You have to experiment it and not feeling pressured because some dude on YouTube tells you that you have to be a hustler.
Right.
I mean, you're going to look. I mean, you have kids, Keetria.
Exactly.
I mean, like it just changes things. I have two young daughters. I mean, I'm not working the same way that I was when I was a 26-year-old.
Right. Yeah.
it was just me and my wife. It's different. I'm 39 now. My energy levels are different. I work out. I'm in shape. I take care of myself. However, and my energy management I need to be more careful with that. I need to pay more attention to my energy. So things change. So, stop listening to all this and make something that works for you. And you're going to realize some things that when you're aligned and when you understand what you should prioritize, and, there's things as an entrepreneur that types of tasks, we talk about it in the book, the 4 types of entrepreneurial tasks that every single entrepreneur is going to have. But once you know how to prioritize them and you know how to optimize, your processes and optimize these types of tasks, now you're getting some. So the main thing that you're going to get, that you're going to acquire with this is space. Oh, wow. And when you have space in your business, that gives you the flexibility, right? And flexibility gives you time to actually think things through. Takes the time to actually, maybe you don't need to rush. You can take a lot of time. And more than often, when it's time to make good decisions, you're going to make better decisions. And better decisions are going to lead to actually more space and more productivity. And, I see productivity as really as a byproduct. It's a byproduct of working right and working efficiently,
Exactly. Yeah, that's the most important thing, is being able to be efficient. What do you think about, sometimes as entrepreneurs, we feel like we have to have our things in everything, and I know like the micromanagement is an issue for some people, but like, what is your take on just being able to delegate and outsource the things that, maybe we're not really equipped to do, but we can do it. It's just going to take a little bit more time. Do you think it's more, do you recommend like maybe looking to outsource? Or what do you think is more beneficial for that person who's just trying to, make sure that things get done, but not get overwhelmed in the process?
Yeah, I think if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, you will have at one point unless you want to stay a solopreneur for the rest of your life, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
But and you're going to have to learn, how to delegate, how to outsource, how to automate properly, right? And we share that in the book too. We have a map actually on how to make decisions when it comes to delegating, automating, and outsourcing. And we call that the DOA process. And honestly, like if you don't do that, if you don't learn to trust, that some people are better than you at most things, because the truth is, most people, you're only good at a very limited number of things, or good enough like that it's worth for keeping for you. Yeah. Obviously, let's be honest, when you start a business, you're going to have to wear many hats, and that is fine. The key is that you don't make it a permanent thing. It's understanding, have enough self-awareness, that building enough self-awareness in the process, that understanding what you should start, delegating, outsourcing, or automating in the process. And when you do that, and you do that gradually, and understand that it's not a one-time occurrence, like you're not going to take everything that you don't want to, one day and drop it on someone else's lap. It doesn't happen like that. It goes through a process of actually building a process of understanding, how things are done and how they should be done, and then trusting competent individuals to actually do it even better than you do. And I'm a big believer in empowerment. I think, that's a funny thing, when you grow a business, you go from need to be a good self leader first. That's the base. Done by Noon talks a lot about self-leadership. Like that's a priority. But then in order to be, you need that in order to become a good business leader. And I believe that to be a good business leader, you need the number one skill that is learning how to empower others through your systems that you have, but also your communication, your caring, your empathy, whatever is needed in order to have people perform under your own, businesses. And once you do that, that becomes magic. You're like, okay, why did I not hire an assistant before that? Not only are you going to make more money, but you're going to have a better business, period. I was fortunate, and I'm so grateful for the great, integrators that I had in my businesses over the years. I'm talking about guys like like Joey Vaillancourt, Andy Wilkinson, Kimberly Bohannon, and I guess Cedric now. I mean, shout out to them because they're smarter than me.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah.
We're creative people. Entrepreneurs are creative. We're practical artists, and most of us are not that great at operating. And trust me, when you find a good operator, when you find a good integrator, this is when you can actually, this is when your superpowers are really going to start shining, And I think that as entrepreneurs, that's our responsibilities to make these superpowers shine in order to create, to offer creative solutions to the world problems.
Wow. Yeah. And and speaking of a solution, I know that you, in addition to the book, there's this nice planner, the EPIC planner that goes along with that. And so when you talk about organization and just, having a solution to what you need to do and being able to follow tasks, like tell us a bit about how that works hand in hand with the book so that people can, prioritize organizing.
Yeah.
That's a big plus.
So the book, as you read the book, so basically the book we share. So first of all, we started the book with a big dose of self-awareness regarding entrepreneurial leadership. So we established 5 truths about life and business as entrepreneurs. And there are things that you might know already, but there are things that you might be like, okay, I never saw it that way. I never saw it from this perspective. And the goal is to make you understand how we operate as entrepreneurs, because we all have patterns. We're not that different.
Yeah.
We have uniqueness. I talked about, us being unique in our own personal context, but the way we operate is not very different. We all have a specific ways of seeing things. And we established that. And the goal here is to make you, as I said, have a different perspective. Yeah. We present you the philosophy. So what's our philosophy? How we see things. I talked about self-leadership, you before the business, treating yourself like an athlete, having an efficiency first mindset about productivity, and understanding leverage too. And from there, we guide you through the 4 steps. And the 4 steps will really go in detail and the why and everything. And you can do the exercises as you read the book. We give you like a PDF kit too that you can go download and you can do all the exercises. And once you're ready, once you understand, the planner is really like the condensed daily practical tool that you're going to have that's going to keep you aligned, that's going to make you, that's going to help you implement on a daily basis, and use that as kind of guardrails for your journey. You can go very fast on the highway, but guess what? When there's no guardrails, the possibility of you going drifting and going in the ditch higher. Right. You have something that keeps you aligned, and you have to follow the lines if you want. But guess what? You're still responsible for your own journey. You are responsible for the workload. You are responsible for the type of vehicle that you drive along that highway. And that's why we established that. So that's the planner is the practical tool. And I think once you understand them, it's like working out. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be. The first couple of weeks you go to the gym, it's weird. You're awkward. You don't know how to go around some exercises. You're weak. It's just not the best. But guess what? You do that. You trust the process, and after a year, you're a beast. Well, guess what? That's the same thing here. You have to keep practicing. You have to do your reps, and then it becomes second nature, and then it becomes a lot easier. And this is when, once you do that, it just changes things, And I always say, hey, if you want to commit to that, don't look for a bunch of tactics. You're not going to have that. I said there's some tactics you can implement, have fast results, but the goal is it's not for you to collect, tactics. The goal is for you to understand how you operate. And just like you would work out, understand your body mechanics, understand, how to perform your exercises, your workouts properly, and give it time. And after 6 months, if you give it 6 months, you will see results. You will see noticeable, measurable results. And that's the exact same type of advice that we give regarding to the EPIC methodology.
Wow. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I definitely look forward to seeing the measurable results. Like that's the biggest thing. Sometimes we don't even know what we've accomplished specifically. You don't even have like specific goals. You just kind of set out, and when things get done, they get checked off a list. So I truly look forward to finishing the read. Like I said, I got started, and just being able to incorporate the planner. I think I'll report back to you how things are looking on my end, Dave. But I'm definitely excited to be able to understand like where you're going with just kind of saving people from burnout and just getting that freedom back.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the biggest thing, right? We want to have a little bit more freedom and time to do what we want to do.
100%, and I think, one of the concepts that we talk about in the book too is that, a lot of people say, I want a work-life balance. Well, guess what? I don't like work-life balance, because that implies that these are two competing forces,
right,
and it's not work. It's not bad. As an entrepreneur, work is amazing. I don't know about you, but I love to work. Yeah. That's one of my favorite things to do. I love to create. I think it's a beautiful thing. And the ability to be able to create and work and come up with solutions. I mean, for me, it's one of the greatest gifts of my life, and we talk about the work-life harmony because we're not unidimensional beings. Like we have families, we have spouses, we have houses, we have environments that we love. I have a river, I have a boat that I want to go and use. You know what I mean? Like all these things, and it's how you harmonize the whole thing. So we talk about the concept of work-life harmony, and it's a dance. It's sometimes you're going to have to work harder, and obviously you will have a little bit less time for your family, and that's fine as long as you understand that it's a dance. That sometimes work will take the lead a little bit more, but your life is still there. And sometimes the other, life will take the lead, and your work will still be there, your business will still be there, but life is going to take the lead. And when you look at professional dancers, the way to do that, like the way the partners move with each other and take, the leads, and it forms a beautiful thing, a beautiful harmony. Think about it like that. It's like the yin and the yang, and it just fits. So don't think about it as, I got to do this and I got to do that. And if I stop doing this, I'm going to have more time. No, you got to change your paradigm. You got to change the way you see it.
Right. Harmonize, guys. All right. Perfect. Well, before we get ready to wrap up, Dave, I want to ask you to leave a couple of words of encouragement to the listeners, and also for the people who want to go ahead and grab the book and the planner. Let us know where we can grab that online, and leave your social media handles if there's anyone that wants to reach out and connect as well.
It was pretty choppy, Keetria, but I think you said like if there's any words of encouragement or where they could get the planners and everything. My word is usually always the same. It's lead yourself first and do you. Understand why you're doing your things, have alignment, gain that perspective, gain that self-awareness, that self-discipline, that self-respect that will build self-leadership. So understand that you are always first. And if you want to learn more about what we do, effic.co, EFFIC.co, or donebynoonbook.com. We're actually still handing away some free copies there, so you can go take a look.
All right. So other than that, Dave, we definitely appreciate you being such a great guest. Look forward to having you back, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, Keetria, thank you. I got the last part. So thank you so much. Appreciate being there, and have a great day too.
Thanks for hanging out with us here on SOB. We hope this episode has been resourceful. If you'd like to check out the latest articles or follow Keetria's website updates, just log on to Keetria.com or follow her on Twitter at KEETRIA.